I'm Heather Jenkins from Hand2mind. Welcome to our Teach at Home curriculum. This is the 5th grade, Week 8, Day 1 literacy video. What is your favorite place to take a vacation? Well, my family and I always go to the beach every summer, and we like to search for seashells in the sand. And we bring those seashells back and we put them in jars each year so that we can look and see all the seashells that we collected while on vacation. You know that sentence I said, searching for seashells in the sand, has a lot of the same sounds at the beginning of those words. Today, we're going to be talking about groups of words that have the same beginning sounds. It's something called alliteration. Join me today as we learn all about alliteration. Sometimes the sounds of the words in a sentence that we read can be important. Alliteration is when the same or almost the same sound is repeated in words that are next to or very close to each other. If you've ever said a tongue twister, then you've probably experienced alliteration. For example, we have the tongue twister, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. In this particular sentence, I hear the S sound made by the S in Sally sells seashells and seashore. This is an example of alliteration. Alliteration causes the reader to slow down as they read the words. When I read that tongue twister, Sally sells seashells by the seashore, I had to really slow down when I was reading and make sure that I was saying the right words. Authors can use alliteration to help readers focus on or slow down and think about an idea or description. Because the sounds of the words in an alliteration have the same sound and you have to slow down as you say the words, this also helps you to focus on what the words are saying. Authors use this so that if they want to describe something that's very important, or they want to help you think about the words you're reading so that you can maybe develop a picture in your mind of what's happening or a description of something, they might use alliteration. Now we're going to look at some sentences and see if we can find examples of alliteration. Let's look at our first sentence. Read the sentence as I read it aloud. Under the beautiful, bright blue sky, Georgia flew her kite. Does this sentence have an example of alliteration? Point to it on the screen. In this sentence, the alliteration is beautiful, bright, blue. In these words, I hear the B sound made by the B in beautiful, bright, and blue. When I read these words, beautiful, bright, and blue, I have to slow down when I read them because they have the same sound at the beginning. This helps me focus on the description of the sky as something that's very bright and blue and beautiful that Georgia is flying her kite in. Let's look at our next sentence. Read the sentence as I read it aloud. The sneaky serpent slithered along the darkened path, stalking his prey. Is there alliteration in this sentence? Point to it on the screen. In this sentence, I see the alliteration sneaky, serpent, slithered, and stalking. In all of these words, I hear the S sound made by the S. I have to slow down when I read those words. This helps me focus on the description that the author's giving of the snake. In my mind, it helps me think of a picture of this kind of sneaky, slithering snake that's just creeping along this path and trying to sneak up on its prey. Now, let's look at our last sentence. Read the sentence as I read it aloud. Check out the chips, cheese, and salsa at Checker's Diner. Do you see alliteration in this sentence? Point to it on the screen. When I look at this sentence, I see alliteration in the words check, chips, cheese, and checkers. In all of these words, I hear the ch sound made by the CH. Many times, restaurants or stores use alliteration in their advertisements or things that they might say on TV or on the radio because that alliteration is something that people will remember. If I'm hungry, I'll definitely remember to check out the chips, cheese, and salsa at Checkers Diner. Now we're going to play a game. We're going to roll our die and move our game piece a certain number of spaces on the game board. When we land on a space, we're then going to think of a phrase or sentence that has alliteration using the sound of the letter we landed on. So let's get started. First, I'll roll my die. And stop. I rolled a 6. When I move my game piece 6 spaces, I land on the letter F. Now let's think of a phrase or sentence that uses alliteration and the sound of the letter F. I could write the sentence, "The fox finds food in the forest." In this sentence, the alliteration is in the words fox, finds, food, and forest. In all of these words, I hear the f sound made by the letter F. Now let's roll our dice again. And stop. We rolled a 1. When I move my game piece 1 space on the board, I land on the letter G. Now, I'm going to give you 10 seconds on a countdown timer to think of a phrase or sentence that uses alliteration and the sound of the letter G. Ready, set, go! Time's up. I'd like to share my sentence with you. It's time to get going. In this sentence, the alliteration is get going. Both have the g sound made by the letter G. Let's roll our die again. We rolled a 5. When I move my game piece 5 spaces, I land on an L. Now, let's think of a phrase or sentence that uses alliteration and the sound of the letter L. I could write the sentence, "The lazy lion lies down in the grass." In this sentence, I see alliteration in the words lazy, lion, lies. All of these words have the L sound made by the L. Let's roll our die again. We rolled a 6. When I move my game piece 6 spaces, I land on the letter R. Now I'm going to give you 10 seconds on a countdown timer to think of a sentence or phrase that has alliteration using the sound of the letter R. Ready, set, go! Time's up. I'd like to share the sentence that I wrote. Running raises your heart rate. In this sentence, I see alliteration in the words running, raises, and rate. They all have the R sound at the beginning. Now, let's roll our die again. We rolled a 4. When I move my game piece 4 spaces, I land on the letter V. Now, let's think of a phrase or sentence that uses alliteration and the sound of the letter V. For example, we might write the sentence, "This vest has very vivid colors." In this sentence, the alliteration is found in the words vest, very, and vivid. We hear the V sound of the V in each of these words. Now let's roll our die. We rolled a 1. When I move my game piece 1 space, I land on the letter W. Now I'm going to give you 10 seconds on a countdown timer, and I want you to think of a sentence or phrase that has alliteration and uses the sound of the letter W. Ready, set, go. Time's up. I'd like to share the sentence that I wrote with you. The water was fresh and cold. In this sentence, I see an alliteration in the words water and was. In both words, I hear the w sound of the W. Now let's roll our die. We rolled a 6. When I move my game piece, we've made it to the finish. You did a great job with today's game. Thank you for watching this video about alliteration. If you would like to do more activities involving alliteration, please visit our website where you can download, print, and complete additional activities. Have a great day!